the owner, Dallas Mavericks, also one of the stars of Shark Tank. He's Mark Cuban back on the show. How's life, Mark?
Life is good. What about you?
No complaints. What do you do today? Give me an idea. What's the day like?
Today's about getting the kids geared up for school, for going back to school. So I take my daughter to meet her teachers today, and then I have to fly to Columbus, Georgia, to give a talk at Columbus State University about entrepreneurship and just going for it.
What do the parents say when they see you drop your kids off?
Hi.
That's it.
Yeah, it's just no different than your.
But don't people want to pitch you products and because you're on Shark
I get
Tank
all the time? Yeah, of course.
The best product you ever invested in?
Streaming.
Aside from that, that made you $1 billion.
Yeah. From Shark Tank, the stand-up paddleboard, Tower Paddle, has been great. Simple Sugars, which is a scrub for men, women, that is really great for your skin, has been phenomenal. I've only had a couple stinkers. Most of them might have been pretty good. And you know what? I'll tell you, the other one that it's just now starting to take off. It's a new company called Alyssa's Cookies. It's under Alyssa's Bakery online, and I live off of these cookies. These things are high fiber, taste amazing, low carb, and literally that's all I eat anymore. So that's probably my favorite product.
When's the last time you found out how much you're worth?
I never check. It's been a long time, honestly. I mean, I looked the other day at my bank statement to see how much I had in my ATM, and no, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, give me an over/under. Can we?
It was a lot. I was shocked. It was like if I showed it to a financial advisor, they would have called me an idiot.
Because you have all that money in there not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so over/under $5 million.
I'm not going to tell you.
It's over. So you have over $5 million.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, so I have to go do something in the next couple of days. Yeah, I've got a meeting set.
What does Steve Ballmer's price tag mean for you and everybody else in the NBA?
I mean, it's nice to know. It's confirmation of what David and Adam have been working on, and it's confirmation for all the new owners that have come into the league over the last 10 years who have paid a premium. That we're at the beginning of, I think, a real growth spurt for the sport.
Did he overpay?
No.
Did he underpay?
It's hard to say, but if just talk about any NBA franchise in a major city, top 3 city, L.A., New York, Boston, wherever, that has the opportunity to end a lease at some point in the future and build your own arena. About at some point in the future, be able to sign your own TV deal, and as part of the NBA, which is going to be able to sign a new TV deal, and a franchise like when I bought the Mavs that has historically been bad, and so there's nothing but upside.
But you also talked about the slippery slope, and you were right about this. You were cautious in what you were saying about privacy and Donald Sterling. Whether you agreed with him or liked him or any of that, it was, do we really want to open this up and have all of our lives exposed, or that potential? What were your concerns about this?
I don't even want to get back into that. That was May, and May is gone. We live in a world of social media, and if you look at the products I'm invested in, let me turn it into a promotion for Cyberdust and Get Expire. Everything that we say or do increases the size of our digital footprint. And so whether we say something at home, whether we say it in a text, whether we say it on TV, whether we tweet it, whether we post it on Facebook, it lives forever. And, not only does it live forever, but everybody gets the chance to see it. I can look at, if someone's active on social media, Facebook or Twitter, or Pinterest or Tumblr, if you're active, I can look at those pages that you have and know more about you than a psychologist or your parents or probably even a spouse or significant other, just because we display and show so much of ourselves online. And because so much is available, it's really easy to take advantage of that and to abuse people. And that's really was a big part of my concern.
He's Mark Cuban, Mavs owner, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Was Bud Selig a bad commissioner?
Horrible.
Why?
Has the sport grown at all? And the only growth spurt it had
yes.
was at the end of the 90s, and we know what happened there. And, he's tried to act like Yeah, I'll tell you what really turned me off, other than the fact that he didn't want me in. And I had another owner that owned an NBA team walk up to me at an NBA meeting and say, "You have no chance. Don't waste your time." And what happened in the courtroom, when I was looking at the Rangers in bankruptcy, was ridiculous. The things that they were trying to do. But I mean, what's worked for baseball? Other than steroids and home run derbies because of it. You just can't look and say this is a gross sport. You can't say that people enjoy it more, and you can't say that, and the things he did behind the scenes, giving and taking away draft picks, discretionary money, where, I had somebody who didn't expect to make the playoffs and made the playoffs, said that he promised them X number of dollars if they did X, and when they made the playoffs, didn't get the money. I mean, just that discretion is just ridiculous. And, that's why I've compared him to the Godfather, because, every offer he made was one you couldn't refuse.
Wait, what did he promise this team?
He promised, what this owner told me was that he promised them a lot of money because he didn't expect them to make the playoffs, and they thought their attendance would be down. And when they did make the playoffs, he didn't pay them the money. And this is secondhand, so take it for what it's worth. But those types of stories are not unusual.
Why did he not let you buy? I know you were interested in the Cubs years ago.
Well, it was the Cubs,
Rangers.
Pirates, Cubs, and Rangers.
Yeah.
From what I was told, again, secondhand, he thought that I was going to be the next George Steinbrenner and just overpay for everything and push up the price of players. When in reality, that was not the mission at all. I mean, I wouldn't have been afraid to spend money. But what was attractive to me about baseball, in basketball, who 90% of the stars are going to be. It's really tough to develop someone from, who we never heard of him, into an MVP. In baseball, that happens all the time. You can discover players that weren't necessarily meant to be stars. You can develop stars. You can train them. You can make teams better. And then obviously there's the analytics side of it, which, going back when I started looking at teams was big, but not nearly as big as it has become. And so I saw that as an opportunity that I thought would be fun. But, obviously I burned every bridge and dynamited it just to make sure there was no signs of life left.
But it doesn't make sense if he's worried that you're going to be a Steinbrenner and you're going to pay exorbitant salaries. You mean like the Dodgers have, like the Yankees have,
exactly.
like the Red Sox have?
It's okay if his guys do it, right?
Yeah, but you could bring the Cubs, but the last great sports story is the Cubs winning a World Series.
Oh, no kidding, right? It's good. It would be amazing. It would have, and that was the whole thing there. I mean, my fear was I'd sit out in the bleachers and gain 300 pounds eating hot dogs and beer, but it would have been amazing, and it would have been phenomenal. And so, that was his call, and I don't think I've hid my feelings about him. And one of the reasons, in most cases, I wouldn't say anything. But in this case, everybody's always told me that Bud reads every bit, everything that's written about him. He reads. He's called and emailed or called and written to, reporters in small towns and small newspapers asking them why they wrote something. And so everybody has confirmed to me over and over and over again that he reads everything that is written about him, pays attention to everything that's said about him. And so, it's not like I was taking away his health. It's just a little tit for tat, and that I get a little bit of enjoyment out of knowing that he pays attention to everything.
Who has a better chance getting back into baseball or getting into baseball, you or Pete Rose?
I think Pete Rose.
That's not a good sign
at this point.
Yeah.
My kids are getting older, and they're too much fun now.
But should Bud Selig, the commissioner, be the one that says what Pete Rose's future is in the game?
I don't know. I don't know enough of the details, So I, as a fan, I'd love to see Pete Rose back in. I mean, Charlie Hustle, are you kidding? I mean, when I was growing up, the Big Red Machine was, and the Pirates, being from Pittsburgh, that was the ultimate rivalry. And so, yeah, he made some mistakes, but golly, I mean, if you look at that gambling today, just fantasy sports, everybody gambles in some way, shape, or form, whether they want to admit it or not.
What do you think? Is there a sport that's more susceptible to gambling right now?
I mean, you would think soccer, but because just of what's happened in Europe, but I don't know. I think what's changed, and again, I don't know enough about soccer in Europe to say if this is relevant there, but analytics really makes it tougher for people to cheat. And not just analytics in terms of what happens on a court or field, but also in terms of tracking what happens with gambling money. It's from what everybody's told me and what they've told us in NBA Board of Governors meetings, it's very difficult to get a large-scale bet on, an individual NBA game or an individual baseball game. Again, soccer I don't really know. So it's really hard to say how bad or big an impact of fixing a game could be, or gambling could be on fixing, or anything like that.
Did you attempt to acquire Kevin Love?
No.
No interest?
No, it's not that. Of course we'd have an interest, but it just wasn't a fit. It's got to be something that lines up for both teams.
What about, so how close did you think you were with Chris Bosh?
We weren't close at all.
Nothing?
No.
How frustrating is it? You love to be a player in all of this and not being able to?
Well, no, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, look, we've got a guy named Dirk that plays the same position as Chris Bosh. We talked to Carmelo, and, I had a great time talking to him. I mean, I have found a newfound respect for Carmelo after meeting with him. He's a really interesting guy. But, when you have a superstar, like Dirk, I mean, people say that all the time. You're not able to attract the big free agent. We've only really gone after one and failed, and that we were really serious about, and that was Dwight Howard. And he went to Houston, and we were in the running. It didn't happen.
Are you glad you didn't get him?
No, I mean, he would be great to have.
Well, depending on what you had to give up.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it wouldn't have been a one-year turnaround with Dwight just because of the amount of money involved for his salary. But, yeah, he would have been great to have. Cleveland,
the team to beat?
Who knows? I mean, I think, there's one school of thought that says if you just put enough talent on the court, then, they're championship contenders. I'm from the school of thought that says you have to have chemistry. You have to have guys who can get along, and that remains to be seen. Obviously, they have incredible talent, but we'll see if they're able to put it together.
If I pitched this show on Shark Tank, how would it go?
Oh, I'd be all in, of course. We just have to find a new host.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Wow. Do you know I pitched this show to you?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
No, I remember, of course.
Yeah, and you just said, nope, I'm going to go with Dan Rather. I'll get somebody more relevant. I go Dan Rather.
No, I did not say that.
I thought you said I'm going to go with a more established journalist, somebody younger. I'm going Dan Rather.
No, I did not say that. You just told me you were leaving the mothership and that you were looking for other things to do, and what did I think?
And I know, and you blew me off.
I'd never blow you off.
You did. You didn't say, you know what? I would hitch my wagon to you, mister. I'm your Dirk Nowitzki.
What's that?
I'm Dan Nowitzki.
Yes, you are.
I'm old and close to retirement, I think is what that means.
No, hey, we're young, man. 50 is the new 22.
It is.
It is. It definitely is.
Hey, good to talk to you as always.
Always.
And keep cranking it out. Tell Mr. Wonderful that we said hello on the Shark Tank.
Yeah, you need to come visit the set.
I would love to. I met the guys who helped put this on, and I told them I love Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, man, you're the only one. But
no, Kevin's a good guy. He's a great character. And you know what I love? It's just like Simon Cowell in American Idol when people would complain about him. And I said, he's the one who's giving honest answers to these kids. Instead of saying, Paul Abdul would say, oh, gosh, you sound so good, but
we've got all the above. Yeah, Kevin's a good guy. I like him. His problem is it's always the same honest answer over and over. No, but hey, we start shooting again in L.A. Starting next week. So,
hey, can I do this? I would like to get you to do a category for Sports Jeopardy.
Sure.
Can you? Because I'm hosting Sports Jeopardy. And they do celebrity categories. So sure. I'd eventually like to get that with you.
Of course, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so come by the set. We'd love to see you.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Mark.
Bud, take care.
That's Mark Cuban, Mavs owner.